My name is Alexander Sabre. I am a MD OBGYN here at the Arrowhead Mom Doc office. Grew up on a 12-acre farm from Pennsylvania. A lot different than coming to Phoenix and into a big city and everything like that. So I grew up there. I'm the oldest child. My younger brother's 3 years younger than me. And then my parents, when I was a teenager, they actually adopted my two youngest siblings. I've kind of always had this experience with medicine. My dad is a family practitioner. My mom is a nurse. So I've always kind of knew about that I wanted to go into medicine. And he is a self-made physician. He built up his practice, from the ground up. And I always like to tell people that I was that, baby that was running around the hallways in diapers. So fortunately, I'm not doing that too much nowadays, maybe if I'm post-call, but it's funny sometimes because I always talk with them, every, if not daily, then every other couple days, just to let them know oh, hey, I'm doing this, or, oh, I had this delivery. It just kind of they love to hear every kind of experience that I have. My dad will even call me about things and he's like, oh, you know what? I have a question actually. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we should probably go through insurance, make sure, this consult and everything like that, is kosher. When I was looking into medical schools, one of my good colleagues and friends there was actually interested in going outside the country. I did a medical brigade in Honduras where we basically brought all these supplies and set up makeshift clinics, and I loved that whole experience. I thought it was really, giving back to people that had no capabilities of seeing a physician. We take for granted that there's doctors, offices, urgent cares on every block. It's these people had to walk dozens of miles to be able to get care. So that really solidified with me that maybe I need to look kind of into a worldwide experience of medicine. And with that, I applied to medical school, and I went to medical school in Mexico, in Guadalajara. So kind of the quintessential Mexican experience where you think of mariachis and tequila, all that stuff is quintessential where that's, state of Mexico is. So able to work in different clinics from day one, which was awesome. I always tell people I didn't know any Spanish when I went down there. So I got off the plane with my 2 carry-on luggage and a piece of paper of Spanish sayings and just went with it, rolled with it. Nothing was gonna stop in my way. And I was able to pick up Spanish. I learned Spanish, utilized it every single day there. And I still, utilize Spanish, mostly on a daily basis, living in Phoenix as well, which is great. And once I, finished medical school, I looked to apply to residency, and I was able to get residency in New York City. So I worked in this hospital called Lincoln Hospital. It's affiliated with Weill Cornell Medical College there, and it's a big safety net hospital in the South Bronx. So really passionate because these are at-risk patients where, this was their only capability to get care, both, OB care and then gynecologic care as well. So especially now, more recently with the recent COVID pandemic, it was a designated COVID center. So we also dealt with a lot of COVID patients in that area that was a hot spot. So on the nighttime shifts, when things, were, calmed down, which, unfortunately wasn't a lot, but, when I did have those opportunities, I would go to the nursery and I'd pick up the children that I knew, either were set up for adoption or, weren't able to go with their families just because, they were the ones that needed the most love and attention. So that was one thing that I used to always love to do. Yeah. So we actually met through some mutual friends here and, went on a couple dates and everything like that. Our first date, there's this place called Joe's Italian Ice, and that's kind of our go-to place on our anniversary where, this is where it all began and everything. That was our very first date. It was the summertime and, we were kind of just, getting ourselves established and, so 7 years later, here we are. Him and I, we're both proud fathers of fur babies. So we have 2 French bulldogs and that Christmas card is coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. We love hiking, the outdoors, as well with camping. Some of the places that we've been to Japan. That was, I think, one of the coolest places that we've been to. That was before I started residency. And we, like to plan trips. Yeah. I think the best part is knowing the impact that I have on all of my patients here. OBGYN is such an intimate field that impacts not only just a woman's life, but a new life. And that's from the very beginning. I've, said in the past that, women's health and especially OBGYN is the foundation for us to have medical care because that's where it starts. You can't have a functioning society without care for a woman and newborns. And that's the greatest part, is that I'm able to, as an OBGYN, work and manage all of these conditions on a woman's, in every stage of her life, from the very young, till middle age, till older age. All of those aspects of care I'm able to give. It's so all-encompassing and it's so fascinating. I think that's my biggest thing here, is that it is so cool. I could talk hours and hours and hours about my job, because I think it is the best field of medicine. And I'm so happy that I'm able to impact the patient lives here at MomDoc. In West Philadelphia, which is close to born and raised, exactly right.